Before this video begins, this message goes out to David and King Lion. Both of you, I speak on behalf of the entirety of the Bleach community, all of my mutuals and all of your mutuals that are in that community. I mean no disrespect by saying this. Please don't talk about Bleach. Please, I'm begging you. We are all begging y'all. Okay, it's apparent from y'all's videos. Y'all have a lot of influence. Don't perpetuate the incorrect for these characters, especially that god awful bat. Okay, we have spent years trying to get rid of the damage that Clyde has done to the Bleach community by saying Ulquiorra is the strongest Espada. Like I said, I mean no disrespect by saying this, but I am begging you on behalf of every Bleach fan that has a shred of common sense in their heads. With that being said, hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Cole. Alky Man, that's my channel name. To my mutuals, I hope y'all tag both of them out the ass so that they can see this. I want to be the one to, educate them because that's what my whole channel's about. Uh, this topic is about Ulquiorra and how he's not the strongest and how he'll never be the strongest, especially when he runs a gauntlet against released Yami, released Stark, released Baragon, and released Hollybell. Okay, this video is going to encompass the first half of David's video because the second half, I feel like that could be just a video on its own. I'd like to educate David specifically on that as well. And I'll explain my criteria, why it makes me eligible to explain these to them as well later in the video, but I would like to do a deep dive and debunk the points that David has made in his video. So with that being said, let's start.
Alright, here comes a new challenger! So I saw X and KL's video, and then I saw ND's video, and I was like, can I add my 2 cents? Because I actually agree somewhat with King Lion. Well, more with King Lion than ND and X.
See, with all due respect, David, that should be the first thing you flip-flop. You should trust ND and X, especially ND and X over King Lion, because their channels are dedicated to the studies of Bleach, the deep dives of Bleach, the scalings of Bleach. Trust them. If you have any discrepancies about Bleach, trust them. Just like KL trusts Casual, my mutual Cas, trust them. Okay?
Personally, I think Ulquiorra can clear this list. Now, you're going to need to follow the bouncing ball with me here. Firstly, we already know that Ulquiorra has a second release state.
A second release state means absolutely nothing. Just because I have Bankai does not mean I'm going to win the fight outright. In fact, we see this happen in the series. I know the topic of Zaraki later on in the video, you talk about that in the second half of the video that I'm going to touch upon probably never, but that's the perfect example. Tosin uses Bankai against Zaraki, and it does absolutely fuck all. He still loses that fight to Zaraki. So just because you have a second release does not put you above anyone else, or does not mean anything really.
When Aizen was doing the numbering systems, Aizen does not know that Ulquiorra has this second form.
That is false. That is completely and utterly false. The notion that he does not know about the second form is never stated. Ulquiorra states Aizen has never seen the Resurrección or the Segunda Etapa. It's like saying we don't know that there's air around us. We've never seen air. It's not visible to our eyes. The atoms are not visible to our eyes, but we know it's there. The numbering system still goes along with this. And I've seen my mutuals like in the bring up the data books, like Ken brings up the data books as well. The numbering systems are based off of their strength.
Right? And then after the fact, when Ichigo comes back full holified, he's still able to nullify his Black Zero. So this shows that Ulquiorra is somewhat relative to a holified Ichigo going all out. While Ulquiorra is still trying to figure this out, this can't be. He looks like a holo, but no human can discharge the Zero. Ichigo in his beast form isn't playing around, and he takes advantage. And we all know what happens to Ulquiorra after this.
So, David brings up this panel of Ichigo using a Sonito in his holified state. I want you to pay attention, David specifically, I want you to pay attention to the markings on Ichigo's mask, because you bring back the mask later on in the video.
But this is the form that does it. No other form of Ichigo came close. Now, even though we get this statement where it's 0 to 9 and he's 0 and he's supposed to be the strongest, this line is important. I'm the only Espada whose number changes by storing energy for a full release. So this man...
That is true. Yami is the only Espada who is capable of using his abilities to store energy, thus creating him from 10 to 0. A lot of people call this an ass pull, but Aizen specifically did this so that he could keep Byakuya and Zaraki at bay in Wakamundo while he invaded the fake Karakura town, or the Soul Society, to later on go to, obviously, the Ryokyu.
And needs to store energy, build it up before he can enter this form. Which makes a lot of sense as to why Ulquiorra was ordering him around when they came to the real world. Now, remember, Ichigo, in his hollow mask form, when he wasn't fully hollofied, couldn't do anything to Ulquiorra. But he's somehow able to do damage to Yami.
I'd also like to state that's not true. It just helps him. He can release Ira in a lessened metabolic state. We see this when he's about to fight, when he's going up against Yoruichi and Kisuke. He actually goes to draw his Zanpakuto to release it, to release Ira.
Now this is Yami in his release form. So masked Ichigo can do damage to Yami. He couldn't do damage to Ulquiorra. And again, Ichigo with his mask on, no way, that was too fast. How's that possible? I couldn't react at all, even in my holified state.
This right here. That, I'm pointing over to my screen. Sorry, I'm watching it right there. Obviously the video is going to be heavily edited so that, you know, it's digestible. But you see the markings on the mask, how they come straight down. That is basic power progression within Bleach. We see this constantly with Ichigo's mask specifically. The events of him using the Holified Getsuga Tensho on Yami is after his fight with Ulquiorra, which means he is stronger in that state specifically. That Holified mask with the 2 lines going down is the equivalent of the Vasto Lorde form that he used. That is why he is capable of harming Yami in Ira, whereas before the Vasto Lorde form, he was getting mollywopped by Ulquiorra, even in Murcielago's state.
So if holified Ichigo can't react to Ulquiorra, but holified Ichigo can put down, react, keep up with Yami, then that tells you that Ulquiorra is over holified Ichigo. Now if we go through the rest of the information and Yami is 0, in his release state he is the strongest with his...
Once again, that panel right there shows the progression of before and after the fight with Ulquiorra. So if we apply scaling how Bleach progresses within the story, that means this holified mask gives him a higher boost in power than before he fought Ulquiorra.
Spiritual pressure, but Ulquiorra's spiritual pressure is over Yami, then Baragun's ability is not going to do anything to him because he'll be able to suppress it with his spiritual pressure.
And like I said before, this is just redundancy for the sake of redundancy, but this is just a blatant misunderstanding of how the power progression in Bleach goes. Like I said throughout the whole video, the Segunda Etapa does not mean he is above everybody else. In fact, it barely means he's above Holly Bell. Even right now in the Camp for Your Own World light novels, Grimjow is, I'm not going to say hinted at, but it is heavily implied he also has a segunda etapa right now. So to state that he has a segunda, that means he's above everybody else, is just a blatant fallacious argument that's disingenuous to the character uh, himself.
So Ulquiorra would be over Stark, just in relation to power, would be over Haribo, would be over Baragon, and we've already seen the feats that put him over Yami. So Ulquiorra doesn't just start this, gauntlet, he clears this.
And to end the video, I'm going to state my criteria as to why I'm probably like I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, I'm one of the best people to explain this, but I've watched Bleach 10 times over, studied the manga in and out. I have my own manga that I'm working on that's literally in the world of Bleach. I've interviewed majority of the cast of Bleach on my podcast, Seirei Talk, podcast where we talk about anything and everything Bleach related. I am your host. Uh Hell, I have the Squad 1 Chrysanthemum as my Ginte Kaijo. Uh I've literally argued this point specifically, studied it for years to debunk the Ulquiorra debaters since day one because it doesn't make sense as for him to be the strongest by any means. You could sit here and state that he has the best feats out of all of them, but even then, that's blatantly incorrect as well, due to the fact that Stark's regular Ceros are borderline on the line of a Gran Rey Cero, and he can fire millions of them. Millions of them. It kind of is, it kind of isn't. I mean, it's called Cero Miriacho. Miri Cero Million, you know. But like I said in the beginning of the video, I don't mean any disrespect to you, David, or to King Lion. In fact, like I hope I'm more than willing to talk about this on a live with the both of you. Um, it might not be anytime soon, unfortunately, because my work has taken over my life for the next month. I'm saving up for a lot of big things around my house, around my family, around uh, an event that's taking place in September. So if you'd like to talk about it, like I said, I'm more than willing to. Um, but please stop talking about Bleach. I'm so sorry, but please stop talking about Bleach. With that being said, I hope King Lion, and I hope everybody else has a wonderful day. My mutuals, please spam tag the shit out of them so that they can see this, unless they say to stop. Obviously, don't go crazy with it. Uh, once they if they reply. I'll be lucky if they do, or if they even pass the time of day to see this video. But if they do, I'll make a comment in the comment section so that people can stop or will stop tagging them, because I know that shit gets annoying, especially like if this video is still being seen like 4 or 5 months down the line and people are still tagging them. Like that gets annoying. You know what I mean? But with that, like I said before, y'all have a wonderful day. I'm gonna edit this video and I'm gonna go to sleep because I've been up for so goddamn long right now.